Hi, Jyoti here, and welcome to Lost in Literature channel. Today I'll be doing a very short poem called The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson, very famous poet. I had a bit of trouble doing this poem in class. I was teaching the 11th graders that particular year, and this poem featured in one of their textbooks. It's a very ordinary descriptive poem, or so I thought. And I said, okay, I'll prepare tomorrow early in the morning. I'll just get up in the morning and prepare. And next morning, I got up at about 5, and I armed myself with a couple of cups of tea. And there I was looking at just these 6 lines of poem, thinking no big deal, absolutely no big deal. And then I got the shock of my life. It was just 6 lines, but it made no sense. It was just about a bird sitting on top of a mountain and just falling. Now, what the hell was I to do with such a poem with 11th graders? I had to, validate my presence in class as a teacher with some kind of explanation. And I was cribbing to myself so many years back, many years back, one crazy fellow writes a poem like this, and after that many years, I have to get up early in the morning, drink 2 cups of tea to figure out what the hell I'm going to do with this poem in class. Yeah, but before I crib further, let me just read the poem to you. The Eagle by Alfred Lord Tennyson. He clasps the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands, ringed with the azure world he stands. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. He watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt he falls. That's it. Imagine taking this poem to 11th graders for a 40-minute, 45-minute class. Goodness, it had me sweating, believe me. But then, later when I was sitting in the staff room and looking at it with the dictionary. I think that's one way to work with poetry. Sitting with the dictionary, looking carefully at each word the poet has put in there. And suddenly it hit me. The sheer beauty of the poem, the way it has been written. For instance, look at this. Right in the first line, he clasps the crag with crooked hands. That's the eagle. He's personified. Personification is a literary device used by the poet again. And they give a human quality to whatever they are describing. And here you have the eagle personified. And he doesn't just perch. He clasps, holds tightly, deliberately, purposefully the crag, a bit of rock with crooked hands, his talons. And they're crooked, twisted. And where is he? Close to the sun, so at a great height, in lonely lands, an area which is not populated, maybe top of the mountain, ringed with the azure world, azure blue, and he's surrounded, ringed by this world, and there he stands. And when the poet says stands, I can just picture him on top of the mountain, you know, holding on to a bit of rock very, very tenaciously and just surveying his territory, that is the sky all around him. He's ringed by it, and he is the master of his elements. And we can kind of feel, that he's the Lord of all he surveys. He's totally in control. He's right on top of the world, surrounded by the skies, the azure skies, and looking. But was he looking? Let's have a look at it. Below the sea, below the mountain, you have the sea. And the sea has been kind of weakened deliberately by the poet. The sea has been presented as something wrinkled. Okay, when the poet calls the sea wrinkled, you can imagine the waves. So the sea beneath him, it's beneath him, right? So he is in a more dominant position. He's way up, and the sea, contrastively, is way below, and it is crawling. It's crawling. It's moving at a very slow pace. And this kind of weakens the sea, because wrinkles are what you find in old people. The sea is presented as something weak, and it's crawling. You can imagine from that great height, when you regard the sea, the waves are far, far, far below, and the movement is very, it's hardly perceptible, so to speak. You get the feeling that the waves are moving very, very slowly because it's far below, and you can just see the waves moving very slowly. And now, watch the language the poet uses. And this is how the dictionary really serves somebody who's looking at poetry at close quarters, so to speak. He watches from the mountain walls, from his mountain walls. He watches, observe the word, not looks, not glances, no, he watches. And there is a kind of purpose in that too. He's carefully watching, observing the territory below. And from where is he watching? High up there, the mountain walls. He's surveying, looking down, but watching intently. And like a thunderbolt, he falls. Now, this is the line that gives a dramatic twist to the entire poem. What's a thunderbolt? Okay, it's something we all know. Thunderbolt, a flash of lightning and then the crash of thunder, we know it. We don't have to look into the dictionary. But I pulled out the dictionary. It was already with me, along with my cups of tea. And I looked up the word thunderbolt. I never imagined I would have to look up such a word in my life. But there was another meaning. Something unexpected that happens to you is described as a bolt, a thunderbolt. Something unexpected, something shocking. And suddenly the entire poem, which was just a descriptive piece according to me until that point, falls into place like a jigsaw puzzle. And I suddenly realized the crucial word here is thunderbolt. Why? Because he falls, the eagle, but he didn't just fall casually, because this bird was holding on to a crop of rocks on top of the mountains quite tightly. he had clasped it with his talons. Now, such a bird was not going to fall unless he wanted to fall. And then we get this fall. He drops dead weight right from top. He drops. And where does he fall? On his prey. He's a predator. He's not going to fall for nothing. He was surveying his territory, and right from top, he falls on the unsuspecting prey. Maybe another tiny bird, a mouse, we don't know, but eagles have very, very sharp sight. So what thrilled me about this poem was just that word thunderbolt, which kind of contextualizes the entire piece of 6 lines. It's terrific, the image created and the way the poet has brought out the power of the bird. This bird that is powerful, in control of its elements, and how it watches, observes sharply the territory below, which is very much weakened like the sea, which is far, far away. And just think, there is no sound. There is nothing auditory here. The whole thing is visual. The image is purely visual. It's like the eagle is watching, and it's like you're watching, okay, let's say it's not just the eagle, we are looking at the television, and suddenly the sound is cut off. What does that feel like? Now the sea is rendered in such a weak manner. And that exactly is the situation of the hunted creature. So I found once I cracked the meaning, and once the poem fell into place, I was convinced that 40 minutes, it was far too short a time to explain the beauty of this poem to my class girls. Well, think about it. Think of the words in poems. Use a dictionary even for familiar words, and they will give you other meanings which the poets use deliberately to enhance whatever they have to say. So imagery is definitely there, and also the poem is like a jigsaw puzzle. Fascinating, isn't it? Thanks for listening to me. Hope to catch you next time.